Welcome back to CityLine, everyone. I'm Christy Gledhill, sitting in today for Amanda Westbrook. We have a really special show today, and it focuses on unforgettable teachers in Tacoma Public Schools and the influence that they have on the lives of students, but also on the lives of families and in the larger community. And we are focusing on videos today that feature these unforgettables. The videos were put together by Casey Madison at Tacoma Public Schools, and we are going to see the next video now, and I will introduce you to the teacher starring in the video in a minute. But this is Brent Gaspaire. He is an AP government teacher at Tahoma High School, and he never even really set out to be a teacher, as you will hear in the video, but just watch this.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be unforgettable in necessarily a good way or a bad way. I'm sure I've had my moments where I've done some things that students would like to forget and probably can't. So, yeah. Yeah, I hope that I'm able to get them to think not about me, but about what kind of world they want to live in. Okay, so I'll often start class with a discussion of that when I tell people, I teach politics, one of the things that I hear quite frequently is, I don't do politics. They're boring, it's so boring or whatever. And, having kids, one of the first things I talk about is if you don't do politics, politics will do you. Do you remember this? And I hope I can get them to think critically about our society as it's presently structured, and to be able to navigate that society and potentially come up with a better vision than what we've been able to do. I mean, man, kids get so much crap about how lazy and terrible they are. And, I tell them don't listen, look at the economy right now. That's not you. Look at the environment. That's not you. Look at racial relations. That's not you. I absolutely feel that if there's any generation that's going to be able to fix the mess that we've created, it's these kids. I mean, they're phenomenal. I never wanted to be a teacher. That's the crazy thing. Never struck my mind, not once. And I fell into it really haphazardly in just a bizarre way. I was a construction worker and ended up kind of speaking in front of a friend of mine's class, who was actually a labor union organizer for a while. And he said, man, you should be a teacher. And I was like, you're nuts. The more that I taught and the more that, I interacted with kids, it changed me and made me want to become a better teacher. Learning is absolutely a collective process. It's collaborative. I enjoy just giving it everything I've got. I guess at the end of the day, it really is going to boil down into making a difference in kids' lives. Whether that's passing an AP test, getting a kid to get through a particularly rough day, a particularly rough year. I hope somebody that's going to be able to value education and maybe look at the world in a different way.
Oh my, that look.
It's my trademark.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
If I am a student in Mr. Gaspaire's class and I get that look, what does that mean? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I was struck by the size of my pores when I was watching that video. That's really what just caught me off guard.
You are the only one focusing on that. Everyone else is focusing on high energy classroom. Let's just talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about, are they vitamins, or is it just, what is it that makes you get up? Don't say coffee.
Well, my brother-in-law does work for Starbucks, and there's a lot of coffee use, and that keeps things going. That's definitely one of the secrets of being an effective educator, is lots of coffee. It's a pro tip for you.
But there's more than that.
There's more, sure.
Yeah, what is it? What do you get? I know that it is a symbiotic relationship between a teacher and his or her students, and you are getting something out of it that keeps you coming back every day, keeps you inspired. What is it that can you name it?
One of the things that the guests and I were talking about in the back room as we were partying, having a good time, is that going into this, watching all the videos and watching myself, Kathy, the next guest that you're going to have on it, remarked that she felt somewhat guilty, and I had kind of the same sense in that I really feel that every teacher has their story, right? Every teacher has that connection and has something, as you were saying, that kind of keeps them going back, that symbiotic relationship. I think that that's one of the things that really pulled from this video series was really great that Tacoma took the time to highlight this group of teachers, and let them sort of share their story and the impacts that they're making on students. But I really hope people know that, really every teacher does that every day. When I go through Mount Tahoma, I'm just blown away as, I'll walk through the halls and I'll see teachers just absolutely just knocking themselves out every single day, trying to make connections with students. And that's sure. That's why I do it,
Yeah. Oh, I get it. I mean,
and
I
the
see
fame
that.
too. The fame too.
And the money.
I was recognized at Subway. That's what makes it worth it.
You've arrived.
Sure,
You have arrived. Let me ask you this though too. Speaking of the larger community, I said that a couple times here already. Where you're making a difference in the life of a student that reaches into the life of that student's family, and really that affects the community. Let's talk about how that affects the larger society and actually democracy in general. How does great teaching? You kind of, as a government teacher, have to see it that way, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think right now, as I've been watching some of the commentary that's happening in Florida right now, I think a lot of the country is seeing what I see every day. And that is just an absolutely remarkable group of children right now. I kind of was struck, as I will often show some clips of famous politicians making what I think are fairly reprehensible statements in class, and my students will take them to task, absolutely. And I think that people are seeing that now and are blown away by how articulate and knowledgeable this particular generation is, and that's definitely the case. A lot of the students that are speaking up, they're AP Gov students. It's what I teach, and again, I see that every day. I can't tell you how impressed I am with the students that I work with, just how compassionate they are, how intelligent they are, and how, again, hearing the comments that they were making in response to a particular segment that we watched, I was just struck by the fact that really my students were more adult than the people that were, the politicians that were speaking. It really was a kind of a role reversal. And, I said to them, you're the adults right now, they're the children, And for me, that makes my job great, coming in and dealing with these remarkable students and attempting, to get them prepared to function in a democracy, to get them prepared to be able to think critically about the world, to analyze events as they're happening, and to look for, their own interests and policies that are going to help benefit them and their community. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're teaching, you've got a lot of material. You're teaching in a heavy moment right now, really. However, I think it's evident throughout that video and the way that your mannerisms in your speaking. You use humor in your classrooms, and I am betting that is a way. High schoolers are a tough crowd. They can be, right? You've got to do something. So how does that work where you embed humor in the lessons that you're teaching them to teach them about some things that aren't really that funny?
There's a couple of takes. One, unfortunately, there's no off switch with me. It just, for better or worse, it's going constantly. My wife will tell you often it's worse. It's funny, again, I don't think what I do is particularly remarkable, because in the back room we were talking with the other guests and I, we were talking, and we found that we had a common thread. Kathy, for example, has a dog that she will at home, and she will often talk about her dog and her lessons and everything. And she noted that so often in my math problems, there's a lot of problems that deal with dog poop. And I thought, oh, well, I tell a lot of poop jokes too. That's kind of, and everybody was like, yeah, we all tell poop jokes. I think that must be the secrets. Right. As soon as I see the high schoolers start to slip, I think it's time for another poop joke.
Yes, bring it up.
And now I'm going to point out that that's twice on the clip. I also had sort of a PG-13 term for poop that appeared on the clip that they bleeped out on the closed caption. So keeping consistent today.
Right.
I'm all about.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, you got to catch their attention somehow.
That's right.
I wonder about is, let's talk about this. Do you have like a role model or somebody that as you had this moment, you're a construction worker, you give the talk to the students, you think, I could be a teacher. Your friend says you could be a teacher. You have that moment, and was there somebody, what was that moment like, and did you think of someone in your head from your past. Did you have an influential teacher in your past?
So I'm a Tahoma graduate. I went to Stanley, Lister, Marion Lyons, Stewart, and Lincoln. So I had just a huge number of really excellent teachers that influenced me. Mike Coe, Michelle Gilmet, for example, just off the top of my head, two people that were at Lincoln. I had actually a martial arts instructor who really was able to kind of connect with me in a really sort of, just kind of a personal way and kind of make an impact on me. And so, yeah, I don't know that I could maybe isolate any one experience aside from that. Just
So let's talk a little bit about too. What is it that you have learned from your students over the years? Because this is something where you take their energy and you use it, and you come back and you're inspired by their situations and their questions and everything. But what have you ever kind of been smacked with something that a student has taught you?
Well, I mean, I just have to say, for the downsides of social media, I've noticed a huge difference in how informed kids are today, and I think it's in part because social media. They don't watch the news, but they definitely are at least keeping up to with current events, as they're happening on Facebook or Instagram or whatever the hip kids are doing these days. So I mean that's one of the things that I've learned as an educator is just how that's changing and how that's evolving. But I mean, literally every day, kids will say something that's poignant, that will make me think and reconsider the world, especially as we have these discussions. Sometimes if I'm looking at a piece of history, they'll have a particularly novel interpretation of something, and I'll say, wow, I've never thought of that before. I mean, really, you get a mixed group of students. I teach AP, but everybody who passes the standardized test is automatically in the class, since we have a very range of thinkers and skill levels. And I tell you, it's really very inspiring just to hear their takes on current events, on government and policy, and I'm learning things from them every day.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in your class, just to catch you in one of these your funny jokes. So I'm afraid we don't have time for the knock-knock jokes you wanted to do. Okay. But sorry, everybody, no jokes on this segment. But please come back for the next segment. I've got 2 more teachers to talk to, and we've got 2 more videos.